Good evening, everyone. Welcome. My name is Patrick Sote. I'm the Operations Director for the University of Washington Formula SAE team. And this is Zach Stoddard, their current engine team member and future technical director. So I've been trying to think a little bit about what it means, what the essence of Formula SAE is, how to describe that. And I think I've come up with something. This is the sport of engineering to us. Here you have a student-led team of 70 individuals, all focusing their efforts so acutely throughout 1 year, or in some cases 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, or in some cases 6, if you like us a bit too much. But all of this is building up to develop, test, and compete with one product. One product. But what truly amazes me each year is to see all of the commitment that I see from all these different students, and the ability that they all have to see something far greater than themselves. And at the end of the day, we're held accountable by the nature of this product, by the nature of the project. The car must work. It mustn't break. It mustn't hurt anyone. It's got to be fast, and it probably should turn some heads. So we have all these students who can see something much greater than themselves and have shown this amazing dedication to the program. Truly is quite amazing to me. After all, we are representing the Mechanical Engineering Department, the University of Washington, and when we travel to Hockenheim, Germany over the summer, even the United States. And yes, we have. So, over the past 23 years, this team has built one car each year. Each car has been extremely successful, and it has built off the successes of all the previous vehicles. The program was started in 1989 by Dale Calkins within the Mechanical Engineering Department. And since then, I've been truly amazed by all the work that has gone into all of these vehicles. Last year was no exception. As a matter of fact, there's a perfect example of this buildup of work and all this effort that has gone into all these vehicles throughout the years. Last year was our first year going outside of the United States to compete. We went to Hockenheim, Germany, to compete against top teams from across the world. Our first competition, however, was in Lincoln, Nebraska. We went to Lincoln and competed against 66 teams from across the world. And in Hockenheim, Germany, we competed against 77 teams. And these are the top teams from all across the world. In Lincoln, we took 4th place overall. And in this design competition, we took back 1st place in the design event. In Germany, we took back 14th place overall, which I think is quite a feat considering these are the best of the best. So as you can tell, I'm extremely proud of all these accomplishments that the team has had over the years. All the current team members are, alumni are, sponsors are. But the important thing is, we're not resting. So let's give it up for Team 24.
So through the fall, winter, and spring quarters of this academic year, I've personally seen the dedication of our 70-plus members really shine in 2 cars that were designed and manufactured in less than 9 months. But I want to stress that none of this could have been done without the help of our friends, family, and most importantly, all of our sponsors, which some of you are here today. And some of them include Posits One, Fatigue Technologies, Electro Impact, Lista Corporation, Monster Tools, AirTech, Student Enrichment, and of course the University of Washington's Mechanical Engineering Department, and of course many, many others. Our sponsors have donated cash, machine time, metals, computers, cabinets, tools, the list goes on, and we really couldn't do any of this without all of the support that we have. So let's please give a round of applause for all of our sponsors. I also want to give a shout out to a couple of our faculty members who helped us so much throughout the year. So first of all, Kevin Sutherland and Emma McQuaid. If you guys don't know who these are, they're 2 of our shop masters. They help us a considerable amount throughout winter quarter, which is manufacturing, and it stems from introducing our new members to the machine shop, teaching them how to use the basic manual mills and lathes, and going up to perfecting the techniques of machining for our more experienced members. Okay. Also, we have Bill, who's our tech. He's our composites guru, really. He works with aero and chassis throughout the year. And he's also the guy that when the autoclave decides that it's already summer vacation, we call him up and he makes sure that it's working as soon as possible. Also, we have Dr. Ashley Emery, who's our faculty advisor. He's always taking care of the nitty-gritty tasks that us as students and engineers don't really want to take account of all the kind of politics of it. But the really cool thing about this is that he gives us so much independence, which allows us to make this project completely student-managed and run. And you can look at other formula programs and it's not like that. And in the long run, we learn so much more, and in the long run, it's just a lot better for all of us. And finally, I'd like to thank Dr. Per Reinhold, who's our chair for the department. He's supported us for a long period of time, and specifically with giving us department funds, space, and just many things. And it's just great to have his support, and he's really shaped who we've become in the past couple of years. So let's give a round of applause for all of the faculty. And with this, I'd like to welcome up Per, who's going to give a little bit of the talk. So please enjoy.
Thanks for coming. This is definitely my favorite event of the year, maybe next after commencement. I'm amazed every year to see beautiful creations unveiled, and the department, every faculty member are exceedingly proud of the team and what you guys have accomplished. It's truly amazing. And I always get asked, why should a student attend a large research university like ours? What's the benefit? And the obvious benefits is that this place has an amazing intellectual environment. You have every single discipline on campus, and it's a smorgasbord of stuff that a student can take. And the undergraduate students can participate in research, explore the unknowns using scientific principles. And I would say the third benefit is that there's a large selection of student projects available to the students that they can sink their teeth into. Student projects allows hands-on learning by practice, which is becoming a bigger deal in academics, especially in the United States. Learning by practice has been minimized or forgotten, I would say, in the 80s and 90s, and now we have realized that practice from the freshman years and onwards is very, very important. So these students' projects allow the students to sink their teeth into something real from the beginning. And where they get trained in fundamental engineering, experiment design, which is very important, leadership skills, entrepreneurship skills, economics, organizations. This project, 70 students to produce a car from scratch, is an amazing organizational feat. And that's where really this team excels, is to organize 70 ants to produce this car. It's truly amazing. And also, especially this year, they emphasize sustainability and the environment with their electric car, and finally ethics, not to be forgotten. So all these components are an essential part of a student project. The Formula SAE project it's been for many years now our premier student project, and I believe it's an amazing project, meaning that you start from scratch every year and produce a high performance vehicle. And I would say, especially the last couple of years, last 5 years, the product has been truly amazing. And this year is more amazing than ever. And this year we have 2 cars for some reason. We have an electric car and a combustion engine car. And it's a dangerous thing to send students to Germany. They come back with all kinds of funny ideas. And so they saw the electrical competition in Germany, and they came back and said, hey, we want to produce a electrical vehicle. And they came back seeing the German shop floors being clean. You could eat on these floors, and so of course they had to have a new floor so they could eat on it. So I don't know if you've been to their shop, it's absolutely beautiful this year. And it's all due to them. They organize, they fundraise, they take initiative, they are independent. So I'm a little afraid of what they will come back with this year from Germany, but we'll see. And I'm convinced that this year will be the best competition year of all. And the project not only benefits students, it benefits the departments tremendously. It allows us to recruit the best students in the world, in the nation, and retain them. And it allows us to have an easy time motivate the students throughout the 4 years here. And it helps faculty develop new courses and modernize our curriculum. It helps us modernize our machine shop. This team has brought in many pieces of equipment into the machine shop. And yeah, it helps in almost every course that we offer. Yeah, and let's see. So when I go on trips, when I go on fundraising trips, talk to people, they always bring this project up. And it makes my job a lot easier as a chair. And additional benefits, maybe it's a small benefit, but every single person that participates in this project can get a job. Very easy. I can almost guarantee you that every single one of you can get a job in the automotive industry or any industry in the States. And I also would like to end with thanking the donors and the supporters that makes this possible. And if you haven't checked out their beautiful website, I encourage you to do so. There's a special interesting feature on the website. It's a little button with a donation on it, which you could push and fill in the form. And yeah, let's end with wish you luck, and I'm convinced that you will have your best year yet. Thank you.
Good evening. I'd like to thank you all for being here. We have a lot of people in attendance. We have friends, family, the department, of course, our team members, professors, sponsors. We could not do this without you guys. You are the ones that give us money, frankly. You also support us, especially parents and siblings. You teach us what we need to know to put these together, and I would just like everybody to give you guys a huge round of applause. So my name is Daniel Wagaman. You might recognize me from last year. I'm the technical director for Team 24 as well as the TA. And I remembered to introduce myself this time. So, wanted to mention last year's car. You're not here really to see that so much, but last year's car was a radical departure from what we've done in the past. We did a lot of new things on that. We brought a full carbon fiber monocoque, switched engines to a little tiny single cylinder, less power, but also less weight. We did a lot of changes. We brought back an aero package. We lost a bunch of weight. I think that was the lightest car we built up to that point. And it was a great car. We did a lot of things with it. We went to two new competitions, but one in another country for the first time, so very successful car. We didn't really want to throw all of that away. So this year's car is kind of, the same old. We still have the chassis, we still have the engine, and we have an aero package. But at the same time, this new car is very, very different from the previous cars. First of all, we've lost almost 25 more pounds from this car, so a huge weight reduction. A lot of that came from the chassis itself, but we've also added a drag reduction system. We've added an unsprung under tray. We have an advanced dash and driver interface. The engine makes a lot more power, 6 or 7 more horsepower, which for a small engine is a lot. The suspension is lighter. We spent a long time going through load cases and trying to figure out as much as we could about the actual car so that we could improve it. And overall, it's similar, but it's not. It's a brand new car. It's an iteration of the old. We didn't want to throw away something that was successful. So that is the combustion car. And it would be kind of be not great if I didn't mention, if you paid attention really closely, you might notice a little something different up here. There's a second car, because we figured, that's not that much of a challenge building a whole car in a year. We've done that for a long time. That's easy. So we have a second car now. It's an electric car, as you've already heard about a little. I guess going to Germany, as Professor Reinhold said, was a little dangerous. I was sitting in a train station right after the competition, minding my own business, and then I thought maybe we should build a second car this year. So a couple things fell into place that allowed that to happen. First of all, the lead group and the team agreed that that sounded like a good idea. And then we were fortunate enough for the United States organizers to decide to add another competition for electric cars as well, which makes it a lot easier for us to take a first-year car to a first-year competition where we're not competing against schools that have been doing it for years and years. So these are our cars. I'll talk a little bit more about them later on. You've got a few hints of what lay under the cloths, but we'll bring that up more later. Next, I would like to introduce my leads for the technical parts of the car, as well as their team members, and my leads will tell you their name and what they've worked on. So we will start with the aerodynamics team, and David Larson is the lead.
So like Daniel mentioned, I'm David Larson. I'm the aerodynamics lead. So we are the aerodynamics team, and we're responsible for the wings that make this car look so much different than that car. So like Daniel mentioned, we had a couple of changes this year. The main thing that we changed was we added a drag reduction system, and we changed to an unsprung package. So what we really did was we took last year's aerodynamic design, which was fantastic, our lead from last year sitting in the audience, and then we just sort of amped it up to 11. And you'll probably hear that a lot today because this car is really just a dramatic evolution of last year's car, and I'm really excited to see what happens. So I'd like to introduce my team. This is Andre Arevalo. He's responsible for the nose cone design and the front wing mount. We have Doug Dobbs, who's responsible for the end plates. And I'd also like to specifically single out Doug. Doug's a rock star, like he's a champ. He has put in so much effort and so much time that I really just want to take a special moment to recognize him for that. Next up, we have Jason Granger, who brought on Winter Quarter to help us build this thing, and he's been an enormous help for us. We have Evan Marquardt, who's responsible for our drag reduction system. You guys will see it later, and you won't actually really see anything. He's done such a good job packaging it that you can barely tell it's there. And finally, we have Eugene Kim, who's responsible for our under tray design. And that's the flat floor on the bottom that you'll see. So that's my team. They've done a fantastic job. I feel super blessed to have all of them on my team. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Arrow. Next, we'll bring up the chassis team along with their lead, Bradley Freeman. Chassis is the largest bracket on the car. It has a lot of requirements. It has to be strong enough to support all the parts mounted to it, but it also has to keep the driver safe.
Thank you, Daniel. This is the chassis team here. From left to right is Jack Nato. From your your left to right is Jack Nato, Gareth Coey, Jeff Wang, Brian Chang, Maggie Smith. I'd also like to give credit to Rosie Unite and Jim Cross, both who graduated last year. The chassis is the main body of the car. We use a lot of composite materials, which is a mix of two different things, bringing the best of both worlds, where you're using carbon fiber with epoxy, surrounded by a honeycomb core. Come check it out after. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I would like to bring up our driver controls team, along with its lead, Leslie Michael Isaac. Sorry.
Thank you, Daniel. So the driver controls team is essentially responsible for everything the driver interacts with directly. I'm really proud of this year's team. I think we've produced some pretty good-looking products, and I'm really excited for them to function, and I haven't heard any main complaints from the drivers yet, so apparently we're doing all right. So this year is Sheena Kapoor. She's been in charge of the steering wheel, which I think is... and Kenny Whitman here was in charge of the electro-pneumatic shifting system, which so far has been completely reliable. And Joe Tobin was responsible for the pedals, which, again, I have not heard any complaints on, so I'm very excited. Thank you.
Next, I would like to bring up Ross Olison and the Drivetrain Team. They had a bit of an added load with the second car is one of the more different parts in terms of the drivetrain, so lots of work there.
Hey everybody, I'm Ross Olson. I'm the drivetrain lead. So the drivetrain team is responsible from everything between the engine or motor and the wheels. And that means we see some of the highest lows from the entire car. That means our parts need to be made to a high precision and tolerance. So these guys put in a lot of time on the CNC machines, and they really spent a lot of time during the design and manufacturing stages to make sure they were making parts that would actually work on the car. They did a really great job, and all the parts look great, and they've worked well so far, so I'm really proud of them. So first of all, we have Kong Nguyen. He worked on the half shaft and the CVs. Caleb Holmes worked on the differential mounts. Zach Piercy worked on the engine mounts. And Justin Bonnell worked on the chain drive system. Thank you.
Next, we'll bring up the engine team and also its lead, Brian Zantos.
Hi, my name is Brian Santos. This is the second year that we've run this engine. It's a WR450. And as such, we really transferred a lot of our resources towards development. I think we ended up with a really awesome product. We've run this engine on our dyno probably 5 times more than any team previous. And as a result, I think we produced a pretty awesome product. We couldn't do it without an amazing team. This is Zach Stoddard, who designed the intake and exhaust. Kevin Burchett, who designed the muffler, Alex Davies, who designed the fuel system, Tyler Van Duren, who designed our cooling system, Brian Walter, who was our engine management and wiring guy, and then AJ Mallory, who's a newcomer to the team. He's been doing a lot of our odds and ends, and he's been doing a great job. And then Sean Pearson, who's on our development team. I'd also like to thank Patrick Sod, who has been running our dyno like a madman. He's our primary dyno operator and engine tuner, and I think we've ended up with a really great product. Plus Daniel. Daniel's also a really awesome guy. Daniel does some things in his spare time, but one of the things he does really great is engine management. He's our engine management guru. So thanks a lot.
And a new team for this year that we're going to bring up, we call it E-Train. It seemed catchy, much better than iPhone or something like that. So we call them E-Train, led by Tyler Hrabowski, and we'll bring them up now.
Hey guys, so I'm Tyler Basky, and I'm proud to present to you the very first team I think that is not completely dominated by mechanical engineers. So here we have Nicolas Villanueva. I worked on concept projects and did some research. Christopher Kang, he worked on a lot of the mechanical engineering and the accumulator, battery pack assembly, and a lot of the other little mechanical bits that went into the car. This is Panacea Fang. She worked on the safety systems that keep the driver and the car from doing bad things. Because lithium batteries are bad sometimes. This is Jake Miller. He worked on the main controller for the system, and it's the thing that makes sure all the systems in the car are coherent and working together well. And it's also how we interact with the car and connect to it and everything like that. This is Thomas Rydell. He was the motor and tractive system expert. And so he worked on everything that goes from the battery pack to controlling the actual motor. And so this team, I'd just like to point out that we had a really unique challenge in trying to be a completely new, unique rookie team amongst very experienced teams. So we were the only team that had never done what we were doing before, and no one before us had ever done what we were doing. So there were so many things we ran into, and I really got a shout out to these guys that we've tackled all these problems that we've come up with that we would have never guessed at the beginning of the year. We were all overly optimistic and idealistic in the beginning. We've learned our place now. But we're excited for next year and all the years after, and we're proud that the mechanical engineers put all the work into building a second car so we could power it with electrons.
Next, I'd like to bring up one of our teams. We tend to put a lot of the newer members to get people, freshmen and sophomores, that maybe haven't taken the more advanced classes, to kind of get them oriented to the team so they can see what we do, because it's a very steep learning curve. And if you have to be taking advanced dynamics and figure out what the heck we do at 5 in the morning, that's kind of a lot. So it gives us a place that we can kind of more slowly get them into the groove and all that. So I'd like to bring up our manufacturing team with Nathan DeBolt as its lead. Also a huge asset to have, because they work on so many different little parts that either the bigger projects don't have time for, or just something to help out, and they can kind of get a feel for the machine shop and all that early on.
As Daniel said, my name is Nathan DeBolt, and also, as he said, my team is mostly responsible for all the little bits and pieces that don't necessarily fit under any of the other tech teams, but still need to be done for us to both build the car and operate it at competition successfully. So I'm really proud of them. A lot of them, as Daniel said, they're all new members, and it is a very steep learning curve. So they all picked it up really quick. A lot of it's not very easy, so all credit to them. There's a lot of kind of last-minute things that get thrown at them, and they have to be really flexible, and they've done a great job. So starting from my left here, we have Kyle Lee, John Anderson, Stella Lee, Sang Yen-sen, Katie Woodard, Rem Bauman, Matt Purcell, Brian Wolf, Tai Sion, and Jared Rose. So, yeah, give them all a big hand.
Next, I would like to bring up the suspension team along with its lead and our tallest driver, Evan Keel. The suspension system is the most complicated. There's the most different parts on this team, and it's a huge challenge to lead, and they've done a great job putting everything together. It all works great.
All right, like Daniel said, I'm Evan Keel, suspension lead for this year. This is the biggest, most complex system on the car. It spans the entire car. It's got the most parts and the most members. Building one of these systems is a huge challenge. Building two is pretty incredible. So I'm hugely proud of all these guys. They've put in a ton of work. Colton Anderson worked on the anti-roll bars this year. He took last year's design, made it lighter, easy to adjust, fits our dynamics very well. Zach May worked on steering, second year on that project. He did a great job making it stiffer and lighter as well. Jonathan Pike did our brake system this year. Alex DeMarn was responsible for the beautiful wheel centers that you'll see. Alex Wong worked on the hubs. Lisa Natan did the bell cranks. Travis King was the designer of all the brackets. Travis is also our main welder, so essentially any steel part on the car was touched by Travis at some point. He's also a great machinist and is the reason the hubs got finished. And a lot of other upgrades. So huge shout out to Travis. I don't think the cars would be here without him. So it's a good thing we got him. Garrett Oaks designed the uprights this year. They're pretty spindly, but they do their job great. So you'll see those in a bit. They're impressive. Again, huge shout out to all these guys. I can't believe we got them on the ground. We got 2 cars sitting right here on all 4 wheels. So it's impressive.
So those are 8 technical leads and technical teams. Obviously, without them, the cars definitely wouldn't happen. And so I want to thank all of the parents, friends, and siblings that have lost personal time with your children, friends, and your siblings as well there. So I want to thank you for letting us steal them away to build these awesome cars. So without further ado, I'd like to bring up Dalton Morgan, our administrative director.
Hello, I'm Dalton. I'm the administrative director for the team. As you've seen, we have a lot of people on the team and that do a lot of technical work. But in order for these cars to actually be a reality, we have to have a lot of administration, a lot of resource management, do a lot of sponsorship and PR. And so in order to just have these cars here. And so without further ado, I'd like to bring down my administrative leads so I can congratulate them. So Garrett Oaks is our sponsorship lead. He and his team of about 40 members have spent a lot of man hours calling companies, doing grants, trying to put in proposals, to get money, to get services, to get just everything donated as much as possible so that we can manage our budgets properly. Evan Marquardt is our PR guru. He's our lead. He has been in charge of setting up this event, taking care of all of our PR materials, our posters, going out to public outreach events, and has just been doing a wonderful job with that. Brian Walter is our resource management lead. He is in charge of maintaining our computers, our resources, maintaining our pit area so that we know where all the tools are, we know where to find all of our stock, so that we can actually put together a car when we need to. And thank you very much. I'd also like to invite down our admin-only members. These members help fulfill a lot of the skills and the stuff that mechanical engineers and other engineers just don't know how to do very well. So first off, we have Sarah Jo. She is our graphic designer. She is in charge of making all of our graphic design work and artwork. She made the unveiling posters that you probably all saw. And she has been doing a lot of work on all the vinyls that you will see on the car. Next up, we have Deanna Isaacs. She is our communicator, I'd say. She writes all the newsletters and helps with all doing video and taking photos and just making sure that the entire process is well documented. And then we have Riley Peavy. He is our business guy. He helps manage all of our finances, our budgets, and make sure we have money in the bank. So I'd like to thank you all. So with 70 members on the team, it takes a lot of work to actually make these cars a reality, and it's a lot of administration as well. So I'd like to thank you all for coming, and next up, bring up Patrick Soap.
All right, so probably the 2 questions that I get asked most about these cars are, first off, how fast do they go? Well, it's kind of a difficult question to answer. I like to just say fast. I could say they pull 2 Gs of cornering force. They go 0 to 60 in less than 4 seconds. We try not to top speed test them too much, so nothing goes wrong there, but they're fast. The second question that I get asked is, who gets to drive it? So in just a moment, I'd like to invite up our very own race team. These are the people where, quite literally, the rubber meets the road. And when it comes down to competition, they're the ones that give us those top finishes in dynamic events. Of course, dynamic events aren't all, but they're, I believe, very exciting ones. So race team, why don't you come up? As you can probably tell, we share our seat time quite broadly on this team. This is probably the biggest race team we've ever had. However, we also have 2 cars. So we brought on some people to work in particular on the electric drive systems. There's a lot of new stuff there, as well as just to maintain both cars and race them ultimately at competition. First off, we have Travis King, we have Evan Keel, Daniel Wagaman, Jack Nato, Zach Piercy, Zach May, who's next? Justin Bonnell, Tyler Kabowski, Ross Olson, Doug Dobbs, Zach Stoddard, Leslie Michael Isaac, Sean Pearson, and Matt Purcell. Quite a big group. Give them all a big round. You guys are good. So I think we always have a bit of an issue with this at our unveilings each and every year. We're all just itching to see these cars once again. And what we sometimes don't realize is you guys have never seen these cars. You guys just see a purple veil. We're looking at what's under, and I think we probably all cannot wait to see it. So without further ado, I'll give you once again Team 24.